Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the History of Fan Anime. I'm your host, William Chow. In today's episode, we're going to get back into a new decade. Okay, so I already did the top 30 OVAs, TV shows, and movies for the 1980s. Now I'm going to do the same thing for the 1990s. Okay, so I'll start from 1990 and work all the way up to 1999 and go through each and all these significant titles from every single year and then build a big top 30 countdown. So again, this is going to take me a while. It took me almost 14 episodes to do it for 1980, and this one probably will be a lot longer because there's now the new generation. Like my generation, started in the 80s, and of course we had to suffer through a lot of things. Like no translations and very hard distribution, with the VHS tapes and all that stuff. But now in the 1990s, the anime companies started kicking in. So now there's basically a source that a lot of people can get certain types of animes and that kind of stuff. Big boom in the new OVAs and animes and movies that sort of came out. So a lot more titles we can deal with. So, it's going to be a little bit harder than the 80s just because of the sheer volume. But again, we'll go through it all and it'll make this list of the top 30 titles for you. So I want to remind people to go down below, click like and click subscribe. And if you want to make a comment, that's all. These are all good things that you can do to help support the channel and, to make the YouTube algorithm work properly, all right? If you want to support me financially, I do have the PayPal and the Patreon links down below. For a limited time during this Christmas break, I am going to be basically doubling whatever you put in this year. So again, if you for every month that you want to put in, I'll add another month to that. Okay. So again, that'll just give you a good opportunity, my sort of Christmas present to give back to you people that actually were willing to support me. For those people who already are on the subscribers list, I've already added in the extra month for you already. So if you want to do that, you don't have to do anything on your part. Thank you again for your support. Again, I've got some new episodes with my dabbling in working with some AI, and of course I've also begun talking about my trip to China in more detail and more personal aspects of it, because I can't post that kind of stuff on YouTube here. Workings of the 1990s and what animes will end up on our top 30. All right. So without further delay, let's begin. Okay, so we begin with the year 1990, and of course the first season is the winter season. And so we look at the first new TV shows that are coming out for this new season. And right off the bat, we see that we have Samurai Pizza Cats, or it was called Katsu Ninja Taiden back then. Now, the interesting thing about this is, of course, now this is 1990, the very beginning season. When it first came out, in Japan they ran the series 54 episodes. Now the first time I remember ever seeing this was like 1992 off of YTV in Canada, and so so you can think, even when Saban, got licensing and did the whack up job of it, and swapped the translation around to make it into like Ninja Cats or whatever, running a pizza place. They basically, took 2 years of time between the time it took them to get a license and do all the stuff here when it finished airing in Japan, to then actually, transport it and make it into something weird and whatever when it gets to the U.S. So, this gives you an idea that it does take a lot of lead time. For something when it comes up in Japan, to when we actually did something with it commercially over here. So this is one thing that we as fan subbers really bridged the gap on, because we managed because now we're sidestepping the actual production runs. We're getting the lasers when the shows end and basically begin selling the laser discs. And of course our fan subbing was really quick, and so we got the stuff available to the mass very quickly. The other really significant title here is Chibi Marco-chan. Now again, this is immensely popular in Japan, but unfortunately it has absolutely no influence over here in North America, just because again it's one of these family type shows. The animation is not really all that great,
and it just suffered from no translation, right? So no one bothered making copies, no one bothered making, distributing copies around. And saying that as much, just because Chibi wasn't popular in North America, again in Europe, for example, like Germany, there was some sort of company that thought it was actually worthwhile. So it what works in one place doesn't usually work in another. Okay, moving along to the other new TV shows, we have Dragon Quest. Okay, so the same guy who does Dragon Ball, makes a anime based on the video game that is very popular. Again, at this particular stage, it's still the Super Nintendo and really early versions like that. But this is the beginning of that particular franchise. Not too many people were really interested in that show. I mean, again, you can see the resemblance to the Dragon Ball artwork, but again, no one really followed those games at this particular point. Again, mainly because of translation, right? It's hard to play an RPG game when you don't really know what the story and that kind of stuff is on it. So, and there were so many other games that were probably better suited in that particular example. So that was notable, but just nothing came of it at this particular moment. The other one, big one, is obviously the first in the Brave series at Kaiser. So again, going off of the Transformers mold, the kid, and the relationship between that and the robot, a little bit more than the giant robo type of thing, where the kid is has the joystick control of the robot, and not the same the same situation as a Gundam where the kid gets into the robot. This is more like I said, an autonomous cyber being like Transformers, but of course, with the kids in the relationship is that's the whole thing between the Brave series. Again, you get more into this when you get to like Brave Police, which is like Jay Decker, and then you get the King of Braves, which is Gal Geiger. That all happens later in the future, and it's all part of this, Brave series. But again, when other shows and that kind of stuff are kind of like this, i.e., Transformers and that kind of stuff, that had the appeal. Gundam being translated, that had appeal, but this one just fell by the wayside. Again, in many ways, just like Giant Robo kind of fell away by the wayside. With these other kind of story concepts, which worked out better. Okay, so you might kind of think right now, hey, this is not really significant. Why is there no good TV shows on and that kind of stuff? And that's because already there are so many good shows already ongoing. So this is those some of the ongoing shows that that have been going on from 1989 onwards, right? And arguably this is probably one of the best eras starting in anime, because as I said, on TV right now we've got Dragon Ball Z going, we got Ranma 1/2 going, Rurouni Takahashi, again one of the biggest series out there for her at this particular time. We have the new Patlabor TV series, which is really hot off the OVAs. We were getting into Arctic Animation was getting into doing the subtitling and getting ready to do that, because we were just finishing off Maison Okaku, and Patlabor, the TV series, was our next series that we were working on. And then some other fan favorites are things like Gyver was right now playing at this time, and Jungle Tate, which as Kimba the White Lion, the series, is also on there. So some really good titles out there. So again, the major companies like Toho and Sunrise and those places already had stuff running. Okay, they already had their their big blockbusters running in the system right now. It's obvious that they don't want to do too much more to give themselves competition, right? You want to, if there's any big projects, big series like manga and that kind of stuff, you want to make sure you save those for maybe next year or something, next season, and that way you're not making competition for yourself, right? So again, that's why it seems like there's not a lot of really good releases right now. That's because there's a lot of good stuff already on the air right now. Okay, so now we start the OVAs, and again, some really good blockbuster OVAs, just starting here. So we got Bubblegum Crisis, the next installment of that series. Again, this series has been running since '87, so we're already at 3 years, and now we're going to year number four here. The series has 8 episodes, so obviously it's going to end relatively soon in this next year. So, but this is the latest installment of that, so that's always good. The next one is the Devilman series. So again, this is the newer version of that old Devilman series. Now I thought it was rather clunky back then. This is the newer updated version. Still, the artwork is going to guys, so it's really kind of nitty and dirty looking. I am not a personal fan of this particular type of series. I didn't find the artwork really. So it was clean and polished. Definitely did not have very good female characters. Now again, that's not a deciding factor and whether I like a particular anime or not. But that's it's up there. I do like some some various different animes that aren't drawn very well. But again, being a very short series doesn't give you a lot of time to develop and that kind of stuff for the story. But again, for those people who are really big fans of Devilman, here's a slight new update for that, and that's is Going to Guy's new contribution for this decade. The next one is Gyver. Now this is really exciting because we were exposed to Gyver out of standardized a while ago in the 80s, and now they've come up with this newer rendition of Gyver, which is great because now we have more episodes. Because we were really excited when the comics came out from Eclipse. And there was, this big, Gyver's kind of story, and then they made this really, one-shot OVA, which obviously was the, its little test pattern, and obviously that worked out really well, because then now they decided, okay, yeah, we need to make more episodes of this, and so now we made a new more of a series, more completion to the manga. So yeah, we as as early anime fans and Gyver fans, we were really excited. Oh, right on, they made more episodes, great. So again. A lot of us really got in tune with this kind of show early when it first came out. Okay, so moving along here, we have the next series, Shin Captain Tsubasa. So again, after a big run of just regular Captain Tsubasa, as some we just refer to as Soccer Boy, obviously they didn't have enough for that, so they made another series called The New Captain Tsubasa. So more episodes of that. As I said, the first one didn't do great over here in the 80s, and obviously, so this new series isn't going to do well over here either. Popular in Japan, just not popular over here. Again, soccer just not being one of the sports that we really follow very well in North America. Okay, the next one on the list is 1 + 2 = Paradise. Now I fan subbed this one because I thought this is just on that just not quite hentai, but just shows just enough, and just kind of really teasy sort of softcore type kind of stuff, right? And in many ways, it sort of reflects the same way as the old 80s sitcom Three's Company. So basically, a guy sort of ends up having the need to stay someplace, and so he ends up with this place with these two twin girls. In the same apartment as him, and all the same sort of shenanigans happens. Walking into people and opening and going into the room when they're changing and things like this. All these kind of provocative events sort of kind of happen, and this is sort of the situation of this guy who's supposed to be girl shy, right? So a fun sort of rom-com, if you will, and it was a kind of a fun one to do. And the next one is after that is Bebop High School. Now again, this was one of the type of series that if it came out at a different time, it probably would have hit around the mark, because I mean it has the essences of Sakigaroto Juko or Ping Pong Club or those type of things. But again, without the translation, without all the stuff going on with it. It just wouldn't make it over here, right? And I know that in Japan it was popular enough that they made a live action version of it, and it was fairly popular over there. But again, this is another one of the situations where it just didn't translate from Japan over to North America, and by the time it sort of had the possibility of it, there was so much other good stuff out there that it just got buried in the big pile of new stuff. To continue on the list here, we have Soul Bianca, another one that we initially started to do the subtitles for. Again, this is the two OEVA Soul Bianca, so the first one, and this one is I thought the animation was great. The entire concept of the ship coming out of hyperspace and everything was like a a rising of a ship sort of thing. So I thought that was a really kind of interesting concept of that. And the animation was really good. I like this particular style. I preferred it over the remake anyway. So definitely, this is a really a good beginning start of all the really good OVAs that were starting to come out for this decade. The next one was also a new installment of the Dirty Pair. So this is the Dirty Pair Flight Conspiracy 05. Things ever since the TV series and the OVA series, we've been getting a good, nice, steady stream of dirty pairs and that kind of stuff. So that really was really nice to have, to see some new OVAs and that kind of stuff coming out from the Dirty Pair franchise. All right, so continuing along, we have the SD Gundam. This is part 3, so this is the third installment of the the super deformed little guys. You can kind of say like Charlie Brown version of like the Gundam franchise. And it's a little kind of funny thing. Not a lot of people collected it, but once it started getting translated, like Tenno Golf Force and the things like that, people started getting more interested in it, just because then now they get the inside jokes and stuff. So that has a little bit of funness to it. Okay, continuing along, we have the Takami, which is Guardian of Darkness. This one is really good because it features Masami Obari. You'll later, of course, you'll know him later on when he does the Fatal Fury series. But he's also going to be known for like things like Guy, Voogie's Angels, and Angel Blade, which is really nice sort of thing. And this is also based off of the same sort of concept that we've already gotten a lot of. Things like Borgman and Gyver, of course. That kind of concept. So again, it's a really nice sort of OVA for that. Not very well known at the time, but again, because of the the links that are going to be coming up, and the names that are in it. Big focus on the Bubblegum Crisis and that kind of stuff, because he's the director in this one. So the U.S. companies really quickly picked this one up and made something of it and made it timely, which is added to its popularity. The next one is Carol. So this one was really big because the fact that the manga and everything was done by Yun Koga, the same guy who does Earthian and that kind of stuff. And it was really heavily backed up by a musical band, TM Network. The guys who did things like City Hunter, Vampire Hunter D, and things like that. This OVA had a lot of basically star power behind it. And it was very good. They even had a big, huge concert tour to help promote the anime. And for this year, it undoubtedly was one of the best sold OVAs for this particular year, just because it just had so much stuff going for it. So I did remember doing the fan subs for this one. It was really popular. Just because, again, at this time I was really into TM Network because of all the stuff that they did with City Hunter, Get Wild, and all that other stuff. Gundam Charge Counterattack theme. So it was really, a lot of good things going for this particular show. The band TM Network, and they all had various different characters within this sort of Alice in Wonderland, Wizard of Oz kind of like story that happens to basically a girl named Carol. And I know they did a whole big focus where they did a whole their album and a concert tour for that. So this is really big promotion for the band TM Network. But the anime was pretty good. And again, another sort of modification to our classic story. And okay, we just keep scrolling across all these things here. Like none of these are any significance. Most of them, I don't even recognize what the names of any of these ones are. The only one of particular note, of course, is the Wataru OVA. And, this, again, at this time, in terms of the anime, no one really knew what it was, and no one was really interested in it. However, if you had a, TurboGrafx/PC Engine, you knew that the game, Keith Courage was the game of Wataru. Of course, now they did a really horrible job of the thing when they packaged it with the Turbo graphics system. Because of the horrible cover art that doesn't look like nothing like Wataru, but it was understood that we knew that was what the port was supposed to be. Then of course the anime never got any release or anything like that, so that certainly didn't help. And even to date, very little information has done anything about Wataru. Now, of course, there's a bit of life been brought back into it when they did the Wataru crossover with Langreaser, and then you could get the three main characters out of Wataru, in the game, and so that was kind of cool. But other than that, yeah, there is no significance to this particular anime at this particular time. So yeah, in terms of ranking, it's it won't rank in that just because of that, just because of the timeliness of it. Okay, so now we scroll ahead to the movies. Now, the movies aren't really difficult. There's only one movie that was really significant in this list, and that is the Dragon Ball Z second movie, The World's Strongest. Okay, and again, with the long series of Dragon Ball that are running, the Dragon Ball Z TV series, which is currently on TV right now, this was a really popular thing, and a lot of kids were following it and that kind of stuff. So this is obviously the big pick. Other than that, rest of the titles on here are really insignificant and are not of anything that we traded or anyone was looking for at this particular time. So that pretty much finishes it up for the first quarter of 1990.
All right, hope you found that really interesting. And again, we'll be getting into more episodes as we go through the whole entire decade of the 1990s. All right? So, until next time, I will see you again.